Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama
Hare Krishna, Hare Yesterday we were in Berlin for the Rathayatras. That's an ecstatic Harinam Sankirtan chanting in the streets of Berlin. Of course, this is the way to really... The first time I was in Berlin was 1966. Of course, in those days there was this illusory concept of East and West, communist. This is temporary illusions that we go through. And now they don't have the official wall, so to speak, but the walls are still there on our hearts. Our consciousness is still a barrier to our real existence. So the way to, let's say, remove the wall is not just a physical maneuver. It's far from that. Actually, it's an internal process. The whole process of achieving our goals in life, our desires, is internal, really. The external adjustments are only there to assist the internal adjustments. So, I'm very happy to be here. First time, actually, as far as I know. Our memory is not probably as good as it could be, but I'm pretty sure I've never been in Zürich in this lifetime. At least. I don't even remember being in Switzerland before those years. I may have been on a train at night going through one time. We've been every other country almost. Where is Liechtenstein? Liechtenstein? Where is that? You're from there. I would ever meet anyone from Liechtenstein. Thank you for coming. Have you come all the way today? Is it in, where is it?
Between Austria and Switzerland.
I thought so. I thought that's where it was. I was speculating like that. Thank you. I have learned something today. So, other than Liechtenstein, I think I've been to every other country. Not every country in Europe, but almost. Switzerland being one of the last ones. But certainly not the least. And we're very happy to be. I'm made in England. I don't know, did you mention that or not? Made in England. And we spent many years in England in the 70s, 1970s, living in the temple. We weren't in the temple much, actually, in one sense, because our life was on the street. We would spend, we would travel most of the time, I suppose, about 10 hours a day on the street chanting Hare Krishna. This is when we first joined. This is the Hare Krishna movement. So we were always on the move, always chanting Hare Krishna. This is a wonderful arrangement if you want to become Krishna conscious. It's quite a simple process, really. You chant Hare Krishna and you become Krishna conscious. It's too simple unless we miss it. Sometimes there's something a little more complex. But it's not really. Modern society is a little complicated and there's so many, you can say, modern inconveniences. They call them conveniences, but they're actually inconveniences, really, as far as the true purpose of life is concerned, in of themselves. So the art of Krishna consciousness movement is we don't deny these varieties of modern things, but we try to learn how to engage them in a favorable way, how to utilize them favorably. Whether it's a car or here we have a video recorder and other contraptions here and there, microphones and different things, which are in one sense really not necessary, but we've been brought up with them. we consider them necessary. They can be useful. We don't have to become addicted and entangled in them, but we can rather utilize everything in this life, whatever is available. This is the science of Bhakti Yoga, is to use everything that can be used in relationship with Krishna. But in order to relate it to Krishna, because we may not know our relationship with Krishna very deeply anyway, we learn, in a sense, how to utilize it in Krishna's service, how to engage that for our spiritual benefit, for the pleasure of Krishna. After all, according to the Bhagavad Gita, according to Krishna, it doesn't really belong to us. We all think this is mine, or this is my body, and my house, or whatever, my this. So many things. But if we look at it a little bit realistically, we didn't really make it. We didn't really create it. Did anyone here create their own body? You could say so, if you go back a little bit. But in terms of the practical mechanics of this body, did anyone make their bodies? Did you make your body? Did you make the elements which create the body? Did you make all the necessary ingredients to maintain the body? Not really. We may have a little bit of capacity to adjust, but not to create. Creation and production are not really within our grasp. Aham sarvasya prabhu mataksarvam pravartate. Krishna explains to Arjuna that everything that we see, material or spiritual, emanates from him. He's the source of everything. According to our own spiritual consciousness, our spiritual inclinations, no doubt we get various experiences in this material world. We're placed into various situations, various arrangements of the Lord, which we soul experiences. The arrangements are also, in reality, our doing directly. Everything is going on under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prakriti kriyamani kunai samani sarvasha. The living entity in this material world, we think that we are doing everything. But actually, at the full, this is a foolish mentality. And therefore we become entangled. We become very attached to the results. And we lose something. We gain something. So with duality, we are very affected by the effects of this world. We don't understand the cause of the situation, the cause of the problem, or whatever it is. The foolish living entity of this material world thinks himself the doer of activities which in actuality are carried out by material nature. In material nature is, we're just, in one sense, we're in this, we have our free will, and that causes us to be in the situation we're in without our knowledge, practically. But in reality, the situation is arranged not by us directly, but by the material nature, which is Maya Dikshena Prakriti Sute Sicharancham, which is under Krishna's direction. We're sometimes forgetful always almost forgetful. Even in our efforts for spiritual emancipation, we're often forgetful and overly affected. We have to obviously use what common sense we may have in our dealings in this world. We should understand the purpose of the material world is not just to try to enjoy it. We're meant to enjoy, and that's why you'll get sad, that's true. But we're just trying to enjoy kind of in the wrong direction, you know. If we really want enjoyment, I'm sure everybody does. Is there anybody who wants to enjoy? No? Why? Yeah, at least our temple president wants to enjoy. Of course, he can enjoy because he's the boss. If I was the boss, I would enjoy too. But I'll let you into a secret. If you want to enjoy, don't become the boss. Stay at distance and give him a hard time. We should all work with Krishna in the center. Anybody else want to enjoy besides the boss? Krishna's the enjoyer, he's the boss. I'm giving you a secret. Anyone else want to enjoy? No? I'm in the wrong place here, aren't I? Let's go somewhere else, Krishna Prema Rupa. These people here are not a good audience. Where's the hot pools? Huh? Yes? What would you like? Oh, good. We've got some association. 2, 3 of us. Okay. We're doing well. Come on, anyone else want to be happy or enjoy or not? Well, not many of you. You're a strange bunch up here in Switzerland. Okay, we'll change the topic. We'll come from another angle now. This material world is a miserable place. Hard in Switzerland, isn't it? You know, think you're on top of the world here, I suppose. Is that what it is? Hey, living up here in the mountains, loaded, pockets full of dough. You know what that means? Money. In England they say you're loaded with dough. They used to say to us. Even if you live in Switzerland, does it mean there's no suffering? Is there suffering or not?
Suffering.
There is? In Switzerland?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Not possible. Really? I mean, near Pro, they say there's suffering in Switzerland. I don't believe it. Can't get away from it. This is the material world. Welcome. Dukkhalayam Shashvatam, Krishna says. Dukkha alayam. Alayam is place, dukkha, place of suffering. Of course, there's Chapala Shuka, there's a bit of juice, a little bit of tasty thing there, which keeps us going. A bit of pleasure, so to say, for a few moments, then coming and going like that. Keeps us going. The Shashvatam, but the thing is, it's only temporary. So even if due to our good karmas, we may be getting some happiness now, for a little while, relatively speaking, even that happiness is covered by ignorance. We've forgotten the deeper, the real happiness. And happiness which is not dependent upon the material show. Whether the show is pleasing to us or not. There's a kind of happiness which goes which is much deeper. Much deeper. I think we could say our primary happiness in this material world is in relationships, deep relationships between people. That's why there's such a strong inclination between people, men and women or whatever it may be, but between living entities, more than there is even, well, material things itself, of course, material thing. Because that's a little bit more towards real happiness. I'm looking at that painting behind on the wall there. Perhaps you can see it. Is this Gopakumar? This is a painting of course, this Krishna, and he's embracing this devotee. His name is Gopakumar, who's just entering into the spiritual realm. And it's not like buying a train ticket exactly to Switzerland. And then you arrive in Zürich. Somebody embraces you on the railway station, husband or wife or whatever it is. The principle is similar. Going back home again. This is a spiritual experience. It's not a material transference. Just simply waking up. It's not so difficult to understand in one sense when we're sleeping. We're in another world practically, isn't it? Usually, is it not? When we sleep. It's like we're in another world. You may be sometimes a little aware of the so-called waking condition. Practically it's another world, and practically that's the only world which we identify with at that time. Doesn't matter who we are. We can be the President of the United States or whatever it is. When we're dreaming, it's the same. We're in another world. We forget who we are. And you know what it's like when you're dreaming? You're kind of pretty helpless, isn't it? Whether the dream's, this way or that way, you kind of just have to experience it. And sometimes there's a little, you come out of it. But usually you just have to go through it until you wake up. And we go through one dream after another. That's we're aware of that to some degree. And when we go into another dream, the previous dreams are gone. It's just forgotten. Or that's at least when you're in that dream. You identify with the next dream. And you more or less to accept our lot. Happiness and distress, which may come in it. Until we wake up, and then we wake up and it's, there we are. Oh, thank God it's over. And then you see your maybe family members or things you're familiar with, and you feel safe again, or you feel secure or something, happy. So you can use that a little bit as an example. It's not complete, but it's something along the lines to give us an idea when we wake up to who we actually are. I'm sorry to say, you're not actually Swiss. Don't get too attached. Neither are you Tamilian. Some of you are from Tamilian backgrounds, is that right? From Tamil Nadu or from Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka or Tamil Nadu?
Tamil Nadu.
Tamil Nadu. Some of you from there. Some are from Germany. Who's from Germany? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe. Where else? Liechtenstein? You say Liechtenstein or Liechtenstein? Liechtenstein. Difficult for us English to pronounce these words. I had a terrible problem in Cologne. Well, that was the worst. How they pronounce Cologne. In English we say Cologne. This E-O-E-R-N-H all kind of merged into one sound. I couldn't get it. Where else are you all from?
From England.
Oh, you're from England?
Been away a long time.
A long time, really? Oh, from England. Oh. Some civilized person is here.
Not so civilized, I moved to America.
Oh, American. Never mind. We'll forgive you. Which part of England?
London.
From London. Okay. Not too bad. Where else are you from? Oh, from Switzerland? From where? Switzerland? No, really, wrong. Almost everyone from either from Sri Lanka or Switzerland. Anyway, in reality, we're not Swiss, nor are we Tamilian, Sri Lankan, or German, or English, or whatever. These are only labels, like dreams that we go through. And your next dream, you may be something else. And you think you're that. You may still be in Switzerland. Woof, woof, woof. But you may not realize you're Swiss anymore. I don't know what cats and dogs think, I can't remember. But previous dream. That's basically what we're going through. It's hard to sometimes relate, but this is what it's like. And there's a waking process, you know, to help to wake us up. It's hard to tell when we're in the dream that it's just hard to realize what it's like to be awake. It's really hard. Because we've forgotten, completely forgotten, like an intoxicated person or a mad person or whatever it is. We're all, to some degree, we're all in that situation. But the material world isn't all like that, also bad. It also has its aspect which is to help us to wake up. It's not just a place where people can perpetually sleep and remain in helpless conditions. It has its two sides to it. One is to give us an opportunity to try to enjoy ourselves, so to speak. And on the other side, it's to help us to learn some very valuable lessons. I was in Christchurch just after the earthquake this February, shortly after the earthquake. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
In Christchurch in New Zealand, you didn't hear about the earthquake? Didn't make the news here? It did, I think it must have done.
Norway is in the news now.
Now Norway is in the news. I saw last night some absolutely amazing, tremendous behavior. But this is the nature of this material world. You cannot depend on anything in this world. Last night the girl that went next in the next compartment to me had her bag stolen in the middle of the night. Lost her passports and everything. On the train in Germany coming here. You can't do a small thing, but you can't depend on anything in this world, really. And in Christchurch, any of you have been to Christchurch? Christian has been to Christchurch, of course. You've also been to Christchurch. You've been also? I don't know his name at the back there. So put down. Yes? What is your name?
Govinda Ananda. Govinda Ananda.
Govindananda. Hare Krishna. So you've seen Christchurch. It's quite a pretty little place. It's like, you know, the epitome of what an English gentleman would like to have for a town, practically speaking, isn't it? Beautifully laid out with rivers and parks. And every street has trees in it. Everyone has their own garden with fences so that you don't, next door neighbor can't trespass. Things like that. Nice quiet place, nothing ever happens. And boom, last September they had an earthquake, and oh, what's going on here? People got a bit disturbed. And then they kept on having earthquakes. They've had 4,000 or 5,000 tremors there in the last 8 months. 4,000 to 5,000. Now that's a lot of tremors. That's like, you know, I don't know how many tremors an hour on average. Can you imagine? And I've been there through many of them, and some of them quite shaky with whole buildings going like this. But they had the worst one in February this year. Now they're all thinking, oh, don't worry too much. We'll build all of our buildings to resist earthquakes. And hardly, and a few buildings, some walls fell off during the first one. It was quite big. It was the same force as the one in Haiti, which killed 250,000 people. It didn't kill a single person in Christchurch because all the buildings were built to sway like this. So they don't go down unless there's a big, big, big earthquake, which they don't expect. But they never expected an earthquake in Christchurch because it's not on the fault line. But suddenly, boom, there it was. And it didn't stop, it just kept on and on. Smaller tremors, no doubt, but for months and months and months. And they're to build, rebuilding, and more or less repairing, not rebuilding. Then in February this year, 22nd of February, I think it was, there was another earthquake. But this wasn't the first time in recorded history it was an earthquake with a difference. It wasn't very powerful, but it was devastating in many ways. It's been much worse, but considering all the buildings are maximum modern engineering anyway, built to withstand earthquakes, they call it earthquake proof, which is a joke. Prabhupada said one time, they said, Prabhupada, the buildings are earthquake proof. I think it was in Japan. So, Prabhupada said, no such thing as earthquake proof. It doesn't exist. Nothing is sure in this world. So this earthquake, normally I stay in Christchurch when we have no temple, so I'm staying with a devotee who's a geotechnical engineer, and his job is to study earthquakes. So he's 24 hours busy now. But the earthquakes normally have epicenters coming out like this. And everything kind of goes like this. This earthquake was the opposite way around. Boom, 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 boom. Buildings were jumping off the ground. The upthrust was 2.5 times gravity. The buildings were like pushed up like this. It was about 8 times more upthrust than what they're built for. They were never realized that such an earthquake would ever exist. Never happened before in recorded history, anywhere. So although the force wasn't so much, the direction was the opposite. You can't escape, you know. It's the material world. And we're meant to learn something from all of this. Not just fight against it all the time. Struggle, we'll conquer nature. We'll avoid death. We'll avoid disease. We'll avoid old age. Right? But it doesn't work like that. No, this is not the nature of this world, you know. You don't have to fight against nature. It's Krishna's nature. It's not we have to fight against it. You just have to realize, you could say like it's it's Krishna's back nature, basically. But it's still his. And if we learn to accept that and realize that Bhuktaram Yakitata Samsara Loka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutam, then we can be happy and peaceful. Gyatamam Shanti Machiti. If we understand that actually it belongs to Krishna, and we belong to Krishna. And Krishna's the real enjoyer, and Krishna's the real friend. It's like we see, well, this is love. We want love, we want happiness, we want peace. And we should do, because that's our nature. We shouldn't deny our nature. It's just we are a bit unnatural in this world. Trying to enjoy, say, a little unnaturally. Trying to enjoy, you could say it's like trying to enjoy the dream, or the shadow, or the reflection. I used to have a bird, I don't know what you call it in German, but it's called a budgerigar. You've heard of this bird? It's a little thing. It's not a canary, but it's like a canary. You got a canary, it's blue and green and different colours. People keep them in cages. You know what a budgerigar is, Magla Vaishnava? You know what it is in German?
Valen City.
Huh?
Valen City.
Valen City.
Valen City.
I hope everyone understands it. I was never very good in English, what to speak of any other language. It wasn't my best subject. So I was to watch this bird, and what he was doing, there was, for some reason, we always put a mirror in the cage, you know? Inside the cage you put one mirror. And this budgie, again, a lot of budgies, they spend a lot of time pecking away at the mirror with their beak, like this, you know? I assumed that it thought it was another budgerigar in there. I presume it thought it was a budgie in the mirror. You know? Because it doesn't have the intelligence to realize that actually it's a reflection. And when you get in them, this is hard for us to imagine because we see three-dimensionally. But it's really what's going on in this world around us now. We're just pecking away at it, trying to enjoy it. But it's not the actual reality. In one sense, it's also a reflection. It's a reflection based upon our karmas and desires. We see what we see. It's a reflection of what we can't see, our inner, you know, pictures and karmas from many lifetimes. Comes out from what we see in front of us. And nothing happens by chance. There's always a reason for it. And we're behind it, responsible behind it. Krishna arranges it. So if we kind of put Krishna in the picture, then the whole thing starts to change. If we put ourselves in the center, then it just carries on and on and on. And all right, that's what you want, here you go. But try to learn your lesson. Material nature is also meant to help us to learn. We're not going to really fulfill all of our desires in this world. Now that sounds awful, but it's not really. It's just like a prison house. If you've been, many of you may have, some of you, probably not many, but some of you may have visited a prison from now and again. How many of you have visited prisons? Come on, be honest. I don't mean to say hello to somebody, or maybe you're in prison, you know, some counselling business or something. Actually, how many of you have stayed in prisons? They're good, they're free accommodation. You don't have to pay. You have?
It's not necessary, we are on this earth.
Oh, you're very intelligent. Thank you for reminding us. We're on the earth already. But within the earth there are prisons also. We call them that. Have any of you visited prisons? You've been in prison? Oh, you visited only one. I've been in many prisons. Haven't you been in prison? You must have been. You're a Sankirtan man. No.
Only temporary lockdown.
Temporarily, overnight sometimes. I've been in many a prison. In Finland I was in prison. Oh, places. We were the first Finnish Sankirtan party. They finished us. Well, lasted a couple of months before they finished us off completely. It was in the 70s, you know. And I've been in prison in Africa, Malaysia, and in England, many a time. Arch criminal. You don't know who you're associating with here. So, you know, when you're in prison, you can try to make the prison a nice place, and you probably would, but the intelligent thing is how am I going to get out of the prison? naturally, but most people are taking, I don't know your good name. What is your good name?
Ratikala. Ratikala. Ratikala.
Nasikala?
Ratikala.
Nasika? Kala?
Radikala.
Radikala?
Radikala.
Radikala. Hare Krishna. So, in the taking that point, that most people in the material world are very busy trying to make it a nice place, you know? Some take religion, oh please may I go to heaven where I can enjoy the material world even more so, and so on and so forth. Or if it's too bad, let me just get out of here and get rid of it all. Different ways that people may approach it, or others just absorbed in the here and now of material life. But it's a little like that, making a place which we don't really belong in as comfortable as possible. But we don't need to be. You can be. Why are we in the prison? Because we've simply, so maybe not, but according to the law, we've done something which is wrong, and they put us there. So, similarly, in the material world, we're, let's say, a little bit out of place, really, like a fish out of water trying to enjoy out of water. So, because we've turned our attention away from our lover. And so, Krishna is our actual lover. We've turned our attention away from him, and we're trying to, we still have that desire to love, so now we're trying to love the various parts and parcels, Mayajik Shem, Prakriti. What's that verse? Every living entity in this world is my part and parcel. We're all related to Krishna. And we're trying to enjoy Krishna separately from him. So he gives us that chance, but it's not where we belong. The idea is that we realize once we're here that there is another world, there is a real internal, we can say, as we stand now, but it's not really materially, we say internally, but it's actually it's not like it's external, internal, it's everywhere. But we say internally because it feels like that to us. Internally, the search within for our real identity, that we're not Swiss or German, English, American, or Liechtenstein, Liechtenstein. We're something else. So Krishna consciousness is simply a natural waking process. We don't have to give up the connection with this world. We have to learn gradually, step by step, how we can utilize the connection with this world in a way, the externals, as we call them, in a way to facilitate real desire for love and happiness, relationship and so on. It's a matter of her choice. No one's going to force this one way or the other. Give it a try and see for ourselves. After all, everything's going to go away in due course of time. Can't keep your youth, can we? Materially speaking, physically speaking, we can't keep it. Some of us are already over 50 years of age. I suppose once you're past 50, you're considered to be getting a little older. Some are past 60, 70. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make any difference in reality in one sense. Whatever situation we're in, we can utilize that if we want for our spiritual benefit. We don't have to imitate. See where we're at, utilize it in relationship with Krishna. We're all differently conditioned. You know, if you're driving a little smart, they call them smart cars. You have them here. There's no point trying to, you know, race against a BMW or something. Not necessary. If you're a smart, then be smart. If you're a BMW, you know, whatever BMW stands for. So, this is a natural thing. So at the same time, to help us to awaken or to remember, to focus, keep our focus, or to protect us from getting too much in the mood that I'm doing this and this is me, this is mine, and so on and so forth. Association of devotees, persons who are also on the path of trying to wake up, and chanting. This is the sound vibration to wake us, just like the bells are ringing now. We have a lot of bells in Zurich. Some lovely bells ringing this morning when we arrived. 10 o'clock we arrived and the bells started to ring. It's nice. It's a wake-up call. It's meant to try to wake us up. It's not just to entertain us in our dream, or to make it more comfortable as we suffer in the prison. But it's meant to wake us up. The bells are meant to remind us, wake up, sleeping souls. Jeev Jago. Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. That means wake up, wake up. Gaura Chandra Boli. Lord Chaitanya is calling us. Go to Nidra. We've been sleeping in the lap of Maya, illusion. Sleeping. Wake up. I brought you the medicine. Enichi Ushadi Maya Nashibhava. This Ushadi, I brought you the medicine which will help to wake us up, to cure us of our material condition. Please take this medicine, it's free. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Giving us this medicine. And it's a tasty medicine. Usually if you say to somebody, here, take this lovely medicine. Take this nectar medicine. You say it to your child if you've got a kid. Yeah. Here, come darling, it's time for medicine. Lovely medicine. I know you've been looking forward to it all day long. Open your mouth. They don't usually like it. The very word medicine means a little to most people. So maybe it's not the right word to use in general, but in reality it's to cure our disease. But what is our disease? It's not that the disease is, we've got, some diseases around nowadays. What diseases do people have nowadays? What's the latest fashion?
Depression.
Depression, well that's the big one, isn't it? That's the real hard one to deal with, that one. There's not like a clear-cut medicine for that one, materially speaking. That's a real challenge. When you've got something like, typhoid or jaundice or something, there may be some medicines which can deal with it. But depression is another thing. That's the most suffering in the world is subtle, mental. Nowadays, I believe that there's so many in America, which of course is very advanced in everything, including mental problems, as you've seen. It's the more we so-called advance to conquer nature, the more we get other problems coming along. So if you solve one problem, another one comes along. It doesn't stop, So this is the medicine but it's a sweet medicine, it's a nectar medicine. It's not really like the normal medicines. It's Krishna consciousness. Even in the conditioned situation, one can be happier. I tell people, if you don't believe in all this stuff, anyway, I don't, sometimes we may say we haven't realized so much ourselves, but it's still a very much more pleasing and joyful life. Let's look, and you see dancing and singing and feasting. It's not too bad. Usually people have to get drunk to do that or something, you know? And then they get arrested for it. We used to get arrested for it too, that's why we ended up in prison, if you're wondering why. Again and again, I mean sometimes for days and days on end. We were some places even worse. But people are almost scared unless they're mad or full of false ego or drunk or something, to go out onto the street, throw their arms in the air like this and start jumping up and down and singing. Not many people do it, you know. Unless special occasions they may do, you know, not generally. But it's like part of life now in the world. The Hare Krishnas, those guys who go up and down the street, girls jumping up and down with smiling faces and singing and dancing. And well, I can say it's just a happy life. It's very joyful. And even if you're not doing that, it can be very joyful hearing about Krishna. People like to hear about nice people. Millions of magazines full of books and magazines about people, isn't it? Famous people, beautiful people, strong people, mad people, horrible people. You name it, people want to hear about it, don't they? You know, the most cruel person on earth. You know, people are real. They like to read it, isn't it funny? The most nasty person on earth. You know, people want to hear about people. You don't generally hear about the most beautiful brick on earth. Nice, sweet brick on earth. People want to hear about people, you know. Or maybe animals, they're also people. They like to hear about it, but there's no one sweeter to hear about than Krishna. And there are a lot of books about it. You read the books, I'm sure we've got plenty of books about Krishna here. Plenty. There's no limit. And the beautiful thing about reading books about Krishna, I don't know the most famous person in the world right now, but how much you can read about them? How much can you write about them? I mean, I don't know, I guess there's a lot of things, but it's limited, isn't it? Who's the most famous person in Switzerland? Anybody? Nobody. Come on.
No big people.
No big people. What about in general? Who's the most famous or the most popular person in the world right now?
Obama's pretty famous.
Pardon?
Obama's quite famous.
Is he famous? Obama. Famous or infamous?
The Queen of England.
The Queen! Oh, now we're talking about it. Yes, the Queen of England. Whoever it is, you know, people, they may hate them. They may some temporarily so-called love them, but you know, they hear about them, like Obama or Bin Laden, whatever his name is, different people. Now that fellow in Norway, probably a lot of people wonder who the hell this guy is. What's going on here? It's horrible, but you know, this tendency we want to hear about it. Because everything rests in Krishna. Personal, we want to hear about it. Even in Krishna's pastimes, but it's transcendental, it's totally different, it's spiritual, it brings pleasure to hear about all the varieties of Krishna. There's unlimited varieties. He has unlimited forms. He's not boring. You know, you hear about the same person all the time. Tell me about someone else, for God's sake. Enough of that guy. You know, it just gets worse each time you tell me. But Krishna is ever increasing. There's unlimited pleasure. Because he's the ocean, reservoir of pleasure. So please read these. We may have to prepare ourselves so we can kind of experience that a little bit. That's what Bhagavad Gita is, the beginning preparation, to help us to understand their real position and our relationship with Krishna. But when we think about that relationship with him, this is the relationship we're really looking for. Relationships in this world are only a reflection of that real relationship. You only get so much pleasure. But Krishna's ocean of pleasure. Please dive deep. And don't worry, it's not like the lake down the road here. But it's cold right now. Dangerous. This is our real home. And as we see Gopal Kumar there, he's fulfilled, completely fulfilled. Yet still, that's also ever increasing. Spiritual is our real source of pleasure. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Get ready for Shadans. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. This is good, you know, the lymphatic glands. This is good for your limbs. We don't do this for spiritual things. This is for our health. This is my yoga. That's why if you see me on Sankirtan, I almost always have my hands in the air. Very good for your health. Really good. It's good for your digestion also. Did you know that? It's good for your nervous system also. And it's good for lymphatics. So if you're worried about your lymphs, this is also a good exercise. And especially as prashad, that's the time when we eat. It's coming very soon. And the time we're all hankering after. When is he going to shut up? It's time for eating. Okay, so put your hands up like this. Come on. Surrender. It's also you're under arrest. Come on. It's also when people are drunk enough, they put their hands up like this. When they won the election or the match or something, they put their hands up. It's a natural thing to do. Stretch. Straight back, stretch, deep breath. And all together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dankeschön. Is that right? Did I say it right? Yes. Any questions? I know there won't be any because it's time for prashadam. No, you can if you want. I'm sitting here for you. If you're not going to make it. We started late.
Just because you spoke a lot about sleeping in the dreaming state.
Well, I must be something.
Yeah, about this, like how we forget in the dream. It came to my mind that like Arjuna is referred to as Ulakesh, the one who conquered sleep.
Thank you.
And I was wondering if that person like that, if he does not forget in the state, or like, in other words, could you speak a bit about conquering sleep?
Conquering sleep. Well, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, you'll see that one of the names given for Krishna is Gudakesh. For Arjuna. Is Gudakesh, one who is conquering over sleep, or is conquered over sleep. So Prabhupada refers to that, we refer mainly to conquering over ignorance. Now, conquering over sleep means, in terms of practically, it doesn't mean that we don't sleep at all. It means that when sleeping, what we call sleeping in our present experience, is not, it's only that which is required, not more, so that we can function healthily and soberly during the daytime. Not, we should arrange our daytime also in such a way, that's another subject, but it means that our sleeping is not just simply, let's say, in total ignorance. It's to serve the purpose of human life, to serve our spiritual needs. And it doesn't mean that, in other words, it's engaging the mode of ignorance, which sleep is predominantly, considered, is engaging it in Krishna's service when we utilize sleep properly. In other words, we don't sleep too much or too little, and you try to arrange it in such a way your sleeping is clean, and so on and so forth, so that it actually becomes also, in a conditioned state at least, beneficial or supportive to our material and spiritual needs. And it's not that, but the example probably uses that, or he explains that really means conquering over ignorance, not necessarily. It is a fact also that if we become spiritually connected, the desire for sleep will not be there, practically. It's the intelligence which really gets exhausted, trying to deal with all the goings-on of the mind and the material world, needs a break. But when you're connected with Krishna, then what need of a break is there? We're truly connected. But you know, still we're conditioned, so sleep is generally required, and it's not something that has to be an impediment entirely to our spiritual advancement in any way. But we try to see what our psychophysical condition requires and try to arrange our life in such a way we don't oversleep. So we have more time for chanting about Krishna and hearing about Krishna. But sometimes you have some physical or mental sickness or something which entails that we have to sleep more. So don't be mental, don't get depressed about it. Utilize whatever time you have during our waking condition. That's the main thing. That's the main way we conquer over sleep. Awakeness is to utilize our conscious time for trying to connect with Krishna. But we see that great devotees like the Goswamis, they practically didn't sleep. Hardly 1 hour. And even then it was only rest. Those who are actually connected with Krishna do not sleep like we do, exactly. They're 24 hours, measurement, so to speak, connected with Krishna. So it's just their body and the physical machinery which is resting for some time. But they're not in illusion. They don't go into the illusion condition that we're in as such. And even if they see that, they're still conscious. Prabhupada says sometimes he sees bad dreams. Prabhupada, as spiritual master, said, because he's taken on the karma for so many disciples. And that's part of the karma. If you see, it's not like you are that bad dream. You have to see it. It's like even Yudhishthira said that he had to see the hellish planets. So it's just something you have to sometimes take on.
Sorry, I didn't understand 100% what to say now about this past karma, these bad dreams.
Past karma and dreams.
You told something
Bad
about
karma and dreams.
Yes.
Yeah, well, karma. The spiritual master takes on the responsibility of the disciples' karma. The Prabhupada says sometimes that comes, in other words, that's the disciples are also pure. But sometimes the spiritual master has to see. He doesn't identify with it, he has to see bad dreams, which is you can say, taking on the karma of the disciples. One of those thankless tasks. It's like a parent, practically speaking, takes on so much for the child, takes on so much sometimes struggle and pain for the child because it's love. You're willing to do that. But you know, it's not exactly you are that dream. It's not your direct karma. It's spiritual. We're talking about the pure devotees here. But they want to relieve us from our condition. Help us to come to the spiritual plan. So the best thing to do is during the day to try to fill the day with as much Krishna Katha as we can. Krishna conscious pictures, books, songs. And then on our own account at least there's a more chance that we'll have. If we are at night time sleeping and dreaming, is there dreams about Krishna. That's a good sign. Good sign. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. So now it's time for prasadam. Prasadam. We take prasadam outside, inside. Here, there, and everywhere. Wherever you can. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaura Prema.